Hello. My name is Kimberly Johnson. I am a life coach and a sex coach. This is part one, video one of a 5-part video series about dating with herpes. So if you have found yourself here, I want you to know just how honored you are and how I see you and how I'm so excited you're here with me. So a little bit more about me. I got herpes in 2006. So I've had herpes for about 12 years. It's just within the last 5 years that I've been really empowered to talk about it and that I've really brought it into my coaching career. And I am actually writing a book. It's called Dating with Herpes, but I'm kind of a nihilist. And I want to make sure this information is out there now. So I decided to make a YouTube video series. So this is a 5-part video series. This is video one. And today we're going to talk about what is herpes? And really, what is it to our lives? So a lot of the questions and the challenges that people come to me for are, will I ever have sex again? Will I ever have great sex again? How am I supposed to be confident with this? How do I tell someone I have herpes? All of these questions. And there's this feeling that a lot of people come to me with, almost not like their life is over, that's a little dramatic, but this sensation that a part of their life has just ended. And a part of that is true, right? In each moment, a part of our life is ending. That's the reality of being alive and being human, is that things are constantly changing and things are constantly evolving. And I really want this video series, if I could say anything about this video series, is that I do not want anyone to suffer alone like I did for years. And your life is now. So many people, when they come to me about herpes, it's almost like this is going to take years. There's this epicness in the way they talk about it, as if it's going to take years for them to have a normal life again, or it's going to take years for them to find a partner that cares about them. And it's this longevity, they always have this deep dread about the years to come, or that the years, maybe because they've already been suffering for years. And if you have, I want you to look at me. I get it. And your suffering can end. And let this video series bring you back to freedom and who you truly are. So I want to start by just giving the facts about herpes. A lot of people don't know the facts of what herpes even is. You have it, a doctor told you have it, and that's about all you know. And maybe you know that it comes with, if you have HSV2, which is genital herpes, maybe you know it comes with sores on your genitals. Or if you have HSV1, you know that it comes with sores on your face, right? So HSV2 is the majority of what I'm talking about here, but HSV1, same thing. You can use this video series to give yourself freedom. You don't have to suffer anymore. I want to say that again. You don't have to suffer anymore. Let herpes be your catalyst for your best life. Let herpes be the most brilliant teacher you've ever been gifted. And if you're not there yet, I get it. And I really want to urge you to keep watching and to do what's in this video, to do what's in the other videos. It will make a difference, I promise you. And, I can't put everything in my book on these videos. That would be hours and hours and hours worth of video. But The juicy stuff, the good stuff is here. And if you do it, I promise you'll reap the benefit. Okay, so herpes is a virus. There are many strands of herpes. In fact, many people in the Western world, I'm not going to talk about the entire world because I live in America and in Northern America, and I work with people mostly who live in Northern America. I also work with people, I've worked with people in England, but it's the same. And I want to offer that most people have had some form of herpes. So the chickenpox is herpes. If you have ever had shingles, that's a form of herpes. And then there's the two that are like more stigmatized, which is HSV1, which is mouth herpes, which you will notice that nobody calls it that. Nobody's walking around going, I have mouth herpes. Sorry about my mouth herpes. No. Somewhere down the line, somebody changed mouth herpes to cold sores to reduce the stigma. If we walked around with our vagina exposed all the time, or our penis, our genitals exposed all the time, I'm sure somebody would have changed the name of that one too. Because if it was easily seen all the time, to reduce somebody's own shame or self-judgment, it has been changed to cold sores. But I want to be clear, it's mouth herpes. It's HSV1. And HSV2 is genital herpes, and you get the same thing. You get a sore on or around the genitals, and it's genital herpes. Okay, so most people have some strand of herpes, and the strand of herpes lives in your body. It's whether the virus is active or not, whether it's been activated or not. And currently, there's 417 million people in the world, 417 million people in the world that have HSV2, genital herpes, and then there is 3.7 billion people who have HSV1, which is mouth herpes. And something that's just a fact that people should know, I'm not a doctor, but with all the research I've done, is that HSV1 can transfer to HSV2. So mouth herpes can be transferred to the genitals if oral sex has taken place. And HSV2 can be transferred to the mouth. So HSV1 can be transferred to the genitals. HSV2, genital herpes, can be transferred to the mouth. Also, another fact is that you can get herpes if you do not have a sore. So these are like the very stigmatized facts. If you're feeling anxious listening to these facts, I get it. When I first started reading, was like, I had to put down books. I was like, I just can't, I just couldn't. I put them down until I was able to process them. And I want to just say, I get it. And keep watching. I just want to start with the facts because most people don't know about what herpes even is. Okay, so herpes is also a virus that lives in two different regions of the spinal cord. So herpes is a virus that attaches to the spinal cord. If you have HSV1, it attaches to the spinal cord that's like connecting your neck and your back. Also, if you have HSV2, it lives on the lower spinal column. And it's a virus, it's active. So just like any other virus, it can go inactive and active. And sometimes people have herpes and don't know it because it's not activated. And that doesn't mean they can't give it to someone. It, in fact, does mean they can give it to someone. And these facts, like the numbers even, are very, very loose facts. They're very loose facts. Nobody actually knows how many people have herpes in the world or in the U.S. Like they say in the U.S. right now, there was a study that came out of Portland, Oregon, that 1 in 6 people have herpes in the U.S. have herpes in the US. That means you walk outside and you see 6 people, unless you're them, which it's always me. I like think about these statistics and I like will sit and I'll like be like 1 in 6 people have herpes, and I'm like, oh, it's me. You know, and it's fun. It's like it's you don't have to think it's funny yet because you're not there yet. I get it. And I want you to see where I'm at. And I want you to just see that it's possible to really speak with this with like a lightness and a grace versus maybe the heaviness with which you are speaking of it, whether you're only speaking about it in your mind or whether you're speaking it out loud. Okay? So those are the only statistics I really want to give about herpes. There are some other statistics that I think are have been powerful for me, which is the statistic around like food can be like number one trigger point. Also stress. Like ever since I really got in tune and just like fully accepted that I have herpes, I have genital herpes, I've really, really gotten my diet in check because it makes a profound difference. I also have really gotten my stress in check. It makes a profound difference. It makes a profound difference. And the way that I have done that is like very, very slow changes, lots of water drinking, having a diet majority of vegetables, and stress. I try to meditate every day. If I feel stressed, I meditate. I play music also. So that has been such a huge relief to me. So I want to offer those things too. Finding things that help you when you feel stressed or anxious, and also really taking care of your body. When you have a virus, your immune system is compromised. That's just the reality. It doesn't mean anything except for that your system is compromised. So, and that's when the system is active. Like I know I'm getting a herpes sore when my body begins to feel compromised and I think I'm getting sick. I can I know days beforehand. And that's because I have tuned in to my body. I'm no longer like a prisoner to herpes. I'm no longer a victim to any of this. I just have become really good friends with my body, and I've become really good friends with this virus. And Buddhism, they say like those things that we would call poisons, dive into them, transform them to medicine. And this is what this workshop, this is what this video series is an offering of, for you to really dive in. Like really. Like your denial of herpes or your avoidance of herpes or your shaming of herpes, what is that offering you? What is that offering the world? Like really beginning to be honest. And if it's not offering you anything, I mean, obviously it is offering you something, like it's probably offering you some like maybe comfort that you're not quite aware of, or maybe it's offering you safety, right? Like if you reject yourself, then like you can't harm anyone, or like you already know you have herpes, so it's like if somebody rejects you, you already know you have herpes, so it's like you're expecting rejection, right? Like it's keeping a safety barrier between you and other human beings, or between you and what you want. I'm going to say that again. The way you're operating with herpes could be a safety mechanism that's keeping you from what you want, whether that's a relationship, whether that's a thriving career, whatever that is. Like it could be the thing that's stopping you. So I want to just like put that out there. It doesn't have to stop you anymore. And this is your first step. Your life is actually happening right now. Like I don't know if you're going to live tomorrow. What I do know is that you're listening to me right now, and this is where your life is going to happen. So that's what herpes is. That's the basics of what herpes is. There have been tons of books written by medical professionals that talk more about herpes. That's not my job. My job is the empowerment part of having herpes. Like really being a human being walking the planet who's not an MD, and having herpes, having genital herpes, or having mouth sores, whatever. Like, right? Like, this is the real life version. I'm not a doctor. I'm a life coach. I'm a sex coach. I'm not trying to give you the specifics around your medical advice. No, like, I want to empower you. And that brings me up to another point. Like, everything you hear from me, I suggest you do your own research. I suggest you look up things for yourself. You experience what I'm saying. You try it on, like you're going to try on a dress or you're going to try on a new shirt. You try it on. And you really see if it fits in your life. You really see if it makes a difference for you. I'm not for everyone. This is the knowledge that I have gained from having herpes for 12 years. And I want to give you that knowledge because since I am a nihilist, if I die, I want this information out there. I don't want to have to wait until my book is published. I don't want to have to wait until all the edits are made, until it's perfect. I just want it in the world. And this is my gift to whoever needs it. To whoever needs it. Okay, so that's herpes, right? So let's talk about what is the body. So herpes is something that is living and interacting with your body. So I want to talk about what the body is. And I want to read out of my book because I heard this really great thing in my book about what the body is. Okay. The body is a machine. It has parts. Those parts have specific functions. It lasts a limited amount of time, and then at some point, its parts become old or damaged and become less functional until it stops working altogether. So I really want to get clear about what the body is, right? So the body is a machine, and that is how I'm approaching the body with this work because I have found that it's the most powerful. So once again, the body is a machine. It has parts. And like certain parts, like we write with our hands, right? We walk with our feet. We see with our eyes. We smell with our noses, right? And a lot of that doesn't really affect us. But the part of our body that affects us when it comes to herpes is our mind and our body sensations. So I want to get really clear with you about what the body actually is and what it's for. So let's start with just that the body's a machine. And I want you to really think about your body. Like, is my body a machine? What does it do for me? What does it allow me to do? How does it function? Like, what is its function in my life, right? It gets you to work and back. It allows you to eat food so that you can stay alive and live on this planet. Like, without a body, we don't have life here, right? It's a machine that allows us to walk in the planet, to walk on the earth. Okay, so let's talk about the mind and what the mind's job is, okay? So the mind, the brain, is a part of the body. It's a part of the mechanism. It's a part of the machine. And what the brain's job actually is to keep you safe and to keep you alive. So your brain's job is functioning for survival. And how your brain does that is a lot of different ways. But the first way is that your brain has tracked every single thing that has ever happened to you in your entire life. It's like put into almost like files in your brain. Every single thing that's ever happened to you, whether you remember it or not, it is stored in your brain. That is the brain's job. The brain is a storage unit. It stores everything that has ever happened to you. And this is why the brain wants you to survive. It wants to keep you alive. That's its job. So what the brain does is in every moment, it sees what's coming at you. So it sees what's happening in the reality of your life. So right now, I'm sitting in a kitchen, right? I only know this is a kitchen because I was taught at some point that this is a kitchen. Also, you'll see books. I only know those are books because of my brain's filing system. It sees one, it remembers it, that's a book, right? I can see this is the color black because my brain has filed the color black. And when the brain, this is the key, when the brain knows what's happening, it feels safe and it feels like it's keeping you alive. So it's telling me, Kimberly, you're making a video. You're sitting in a kitchen. There are books behind you. I have a plant to my right? It's like telling me all the things to keep me alive. When I know what's going on, when I know where I'm sitting, when I know what I'm doing, when I know what's happening, I am surviving. That is what the brain's job is. If I were just sitting in this kitchen and I didn't know where I was, I didn't know what anything was. Like I didn't know those were books. I didn't know this was a plant. I didn't know anything. And I just like was here. It would be very disorienting, and I would feel I would feel feelings of like scared, I don't know what's happening, like maybe fearful for my life. Can you see? Like I really want you to look. This is the brain's job. And so the brain has this filing system of everything that's happened. And when something happens to you, it goes into the filing system to make sense of what's happening so that it can let you know that you're safe and you're surviving. That's the brain's job. And the way it does that is through thoughts, memories, recollections. That's what it does. It produces thoughts where you're like, oh yeah, this has happened before, right? Or, oh yeah, that makes sense. Like, for instance, I'm going to give a herpes example. If I were to go and if I had told people I had herpes and I had been rejected, like let's say a year ago, I told someone I had herpes and I was rejected, and then I was about to tell someone I had herpes again, you better believe I'm going to experience the body sensations of fear, of rejection, because when you're about to do something, like I'm about to tell someone I have herpes, and you've been rejected before, you have fear of rejection from something in your past. It doesn't even have to be about herpes. If somebody rejected you in a relationship before, it could pop up in this scenario, right? Whatever's filed in your past will re-arise in present moment to keep you safe. That's the brain's job. So if you're telling someone you have herpes, and you have a fear of rejection, that fear of rejection is going to arise. There's nothing we can do about it. It's a part of the mechanism. And when we have fear, our body then responds to that fear. Our heart starts palpitating, right? We have all these thoughts that come up of like, oh, they're going to reject me. I'm not good enough. Like all of it, right? But it is just a response for the mechanism. This is a machine. This is a machine. You are not your thoughts. You are not those body sensations. You are not that fear of rejection. They're just part of the mechanism that arise. You would never tell someone like, I'm this arm. Hey dude, I'm this arm. Do you believe me? I'm this arm. No, because it's just a part of the mechanism. It's a part of the machine. It's part of your body. Same with your mind, what the mind does. You're not going to tell someone, I'm this hug. If you're using your arms to do something, to hug someone, you're not going to say, I am this hug. No, it doesn't make any sense. And it's the same with your body sensations and your thoughts. Your brain, its job is to produce thoughts. Your brain's job is to produce all the thoughts to keep you safe. Your body's job is to respond to whatever you're experiencing. So if it's fear, it's fear. If it's excitement, right? Your body's job is to respond to what's going on. So if you're experiencing fear, your body will respond with fear. Even if the fear is just fearful thoughts, your body will respond accordingly. That's the job of the mechanism. But that's not how we live. We live as if we are these things. We live as if we have a thought that we're going to be rejected, that we're going to be rejected. We live as if that's reality, instead of just being with, oh, I'm having a thought that I might be rejected. Can you see there's a massive difference? Or like, oh, I'm so anxious. I'm so fearful. I'm fearful, right? So many people come to me and they're like, I am so scared. I'm so fearful. I'm so anxious. And I'm like, wait. No, you are not those things. You are experiencing the sensation in your chest. That's reality, right? That society has deemed anxiety. It's a sensation. It's a thought. 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 But you've got to become aware of those things. And it just looks like that. It looks like practicing. It looks like practicing detaching who you are from your thoughts and your body sensations. Like really. Like really. Like just starting to label them. Oh, I'm having a thought. I'm having a thought about my hat. I'm having a thought about my boyfriend. I'm having a thought about that guy I'm about to go on a date with. I'm having a thought about herpes. I'm having a thought about herpes. I'm having a thought about herpes. I'm having a thought. I'm having a body sensation about herpes. I'm having a body sensation about herpes, right? Being in reality. And then you can get even deeper into reality. So that's first is like beginning to label. The other thing is getting into like deep reality. I'm sitting in a chair. I'm typing on a computer. I have a plant next to me. I have books behind me. My feet are on the floor. I'm wearing black. I'm wearing gray. I have brown hair. Reality. Like just reality. I'm having thoughts about herpes. That's reality. The thing is that we experience these intense thoughts and body sensations, and then we believe that we are those things. And then those are the things that run our life. We believe we're going to be rejected, so then we act awkward. We like are in reaction to like, I'm going to be rejected, right? Or like we're having body sensations, and then we just like act panicky. Instead of us just being in reality about what's actually going on in our mechanism, in our machine, in our body. Like I'm having thoughts about herpes. I'm having sensations in my heart about being rejected. And what's reality? I'm having thoughts, I'm having body sensations, I'm sitting in a chair, I have a plant, I have books behind me, I'm wearing black, I have 2 rings on, my hair's brown. Becoming really related to what's actually going on. Because most of the time, you'll notice this with other people. You'll like watch other people respond to things and you're like, why are they responding that way? Like you're like, I don't get it. Like, you know, like somebody cuts someone off and you'll like see them like honking and like flipping them off and you're like, why are they responding like that, right? It's because they're not responding to reality. They're responding to their thoughts and their body sensations. So their thoughts like, that asshole, or their thoughts like, I can't believe people, they don't know how to drive, right? That's like their thoughts. When reality is a car got in front of them. Like I want you to see it. Your thoughts about herpes is what's creating the outer experience you're having. It's not reality. The reality is you contracted herpes. And we're going to get more into this. This is like the basis of this work. This is the basis of you having freedom, is for you to see truth. So I want you to pull out paper. So wherever you are, if you need to push pause, and get some paper, and then come back. Okay, on the paper, I want you to like divide it in half. Like just divide it in half, draw a line down the middle. I don't care if it's long ways or... And at the top of the left column, the left side, I want you to write just like, what is my reality? And on the top of the right side, really good with directions, guys. So the left side, what's my reality? On the right side, I want you to write, like, what is my storyline about reality? What is my reality? What is my storyline about reality? What are my thoughts about reality? Whatever words, the words don't matter. And then I want you to write on the left side what actually happened. So I'm going to share mine so that you can be clear. So reality is quantifiable, right? It's like something that, like, if I had a video camera in the corner of the room, I could record what actually happened. That's quantifiable. Everything else is on the other side. So like for me, I had sex, it was unprotected, I contracted herpes, which the contraction of herpes, you know, obviously happens inside of our body, but we went to a doctor. So the reality could be I had sex, I had unprotected sex. I went to a doctor, they did a test, it came back positive for herpes, HSV2. Reality. So just take a moment, pause this, write your reality. Like write the reality. Reality doesn't have emotions attached. Reality doesn't have a bunch of blaming or reasoning or, no, reality is just reality. It's the hard, quantifiable facts. Like I could go back to my doctor and I could get those results. Like that is fact. I could go back and like know that I had sex with someone and that I, in that sexual act of unprotected sex, herpes, right? Now, I want you to write on the right side everything else. So everything else that comes up when you think about having herpes. So like for me, for a long time, I like thought it was damaged goods. For me, for a long time, I was like, ugh, like everything is my ex-husband's fault, right? I'd be like, he's such an asshole. Like just like everything is his fault. I mean, the list goes on. I thought that I was dirty. I had the thoughts of like, how am I ever going to like find someone that accepts me? I had the thoughts of a lot of like, I'm going to be alone forever. Those are all like what's real. So I want you to write what's real for you. Like, I'm never going to have sex again. Like all the things, like all the stories that come up when you think about having herpes, or all of the thoughts that come up when you think about having herpes. I want you to write them. I want you to actually write them. And I want you to write the ones that you don't want to write, that are like, I'm a bad person, or like I deserved this. I had that for a while. Like this is my karma. Like that was like one of my stories for a long, long time. It's like, this is my karma, right? So I want you to write. So pause me again if you need to, but really write all that you need to write, like all the truth about what thoughts you have about this. And maybe you have thoughts of like, I have anxiety about dating. Whatever it is, like I want you to write what's real for you. What's really real for you. Like my whole life is over. Or I'm afraid to tell the guy I'm dating. Like I want you to write what's real for you right now. And just write it, okay? So pause me if you need to and write it. Okay, so I want you to go back and I want you to make sure on the left side that it's reality. So sometimes I have clients that like they put all this like emotion and all the like storyline in the reality, right? And the storyline, I want to be clear, is not based on fact. It's like, it's not something that's tangible. It's like usually like in the brain. It's not like tangible. It's nothing that like I could pick up like a pen, right? It's like, I'm a bad person. Like that's not tangible. I can't pick up that you're a bad person, right? I can't like pick that up and touch it. Reality is like hard fact. And so go through and just make sure it's hard fact. Like I had sex with someone. That's hard fact. I had sex. Hard fact. I went to a doctor. I got tested. Like they drew blood, right? Like all hard fact. So just go through and make sure. And then if that's all hard fact, I want you to go to the storyline. I just want you to look at it. So look at it, see it, acknowledge yourself for being brave and courageous and actually writing it down. Like really, give yourself some credit. And then I want you to really see, where do these things live? So if they're not tangible, where are they living? Where are they arising? Are they arising all in thought? Do some of them show up in the body, like as body sensation? Where are they arising? And I just want you to get clear about where the storyline lives versus where reality lives. So reality is like out here. Like I could go to the doctor and get those test results. I had sex in the physical world. It was unprotected in the physical world. But where does the storyline, where do all the things you're telling yourself about herpes, where does it live? Is it a reoccurring thought? Is it something you tell your friends? Is it a body sensation? Like where is it living? And the place where you're going to get power, like real power, is to really get, like really get and understand that your storyline is actually different than what happened. Your storyline is different than reality. And that I want you to remember that the storyline is created from the brain's job, the brain as part of its mechanism. So you had unprotected sex, you went to the doctor. Your reality might look different. Your reality might look different. So I'm just going off mine. You have this reality. You had sex, it was unprotected, you went to the doctor, right? Your brain, when the doctor calls you, like the doctor called me and told me I had herpes, like that my test results came back. When the doctor called me, my brain, because it's what its job is, went through all my files to try to make sense of what was happening, and it created a storyline. I'm not good enough. I'm damaged goods. I'm going to be alone forever. Like I really want you to see that your storyline is created by the brain's job, the brain mechanism, right? So something happens, you had sex, you contracted herpes, and then the storyline, which is like the brain going through all of your files, all the things that have ever happened to you, and it brings up like I still remember the day that I was like, I'm not good enough. I was young. I was like 3. Like that happened a long time ago. The story that I'm not good enough, or the story that I'm going to be alone, right, started when I was young. I mean, the first guy I had a crush on didn't like me, right? Like it's not that herpes actually created any of this storyline. The storyline was already created within you. The storyline was things that have just happened to you in your life, right? Like the brain keeps filing every time you've ever felt bad about yourself. The brain keeps filing every time you've not felt worthy. The brain keeps filing every time you've decided you're damaged goods or that you're never going to date. All these things, the brain files it, and then something happens in your reality. You contract herpes, you have unprotected sex, and then your brain goes through the filing system and pulls out all the things that could show you like this is what's going on and it's okay. When your boyfriend dumped you in 6th grade and you decided that you're always going to be alone forever, it's just a reef that's pulling it out. See, you knew you were going to be alone forever. You knew you weren't good enough. And that's the brain's job, because if you know what's going on, then you're safe and you're surviving. But it's not reality. It's not real. It's not tangible. Yes, your experience of it feels real. And it's valid. I want to be clear. It's valid. For anyone, this is maybe triggering. Like my story's valid. It's very valid. It's so valid. And your storyline is not empowering you, which is why you got on this video. Computer went blank. It's why you got on this video. Is because something is not being powerful. Like you're not able to show up powerfully in this. And it's not the reality. It's the storyline. I want you to see it. You playing out that storyline is what's actually creating your experience of life. It's not the reality. And I want to just make a quick note, because some people have hired me that have been like rape victims that have, gotten STIs or a sexually transmitted disease from being raped. And I want to say, like, that takes more of a conversation than what this is. This is not necessarily for someone that has massive trauma. This is for someone who had some sort of sexual interaction. And if you have been raped and you still want to watch these, please keep watching. I hope you get something. And I also would suggest that if you're having like massive trauma, is that you hire someone and work with them really closely. But I want you to get clear for everyone that it's not the reality. It's not what happened that's creating your suffering. It's actually the storyline. It's all the things your brain has filed up to tell you why this happened, to make sense out of what has happened. And I want you to just really look. So this is going to be about the end of the first video. And I want you to really look I want you to really like think about it, and I want you to walk in your life maybe the next few days. And you can watch video 2 now if you so please, because we're going to talk about in video 2 rewriting your story, like really beginning to retrain your brain to not pop up this really disempowering story when you think of herpes, because you have herpes. Your body has the virus in it. Whether it's active or not, I don't know. I'm not the body. But your body, you have been told that you've been tested, probably is my guess. Or if you just are getting sores, I would suggest you go get tested just to make sure. But you have contracted herpes. And that is something that, you know, they have not found a cure for. It's like this highly stigmatized thing, right? And so I would suggest that you keep watching the next video, because rewriting your story is going to be so vitally important for you to begin telling yourself different things whenever herpes, the conversation of herpes arises, when thoughts of herpes arise, that you can powerfully be with those things. And the first way is just the seeing it on the paper and really seeing it. Really seeing it. Like, I'm just going to pull out a random book. Like, I'm not going to read this book, this story, and like say that this is me, right? I'm not going to read this book. I'm not going to open a page and, you know, this chapter 11, it's called Resilient People Live Generous Lives. That's a really beautiful book title. And it's totally fitting. Thank you, Spirit. Thank you, God. Resilient people live generous lives. Okay? I'm not like, oh, these words are me. Like, I'm not, I can read these and like, I don't, right? It's like, it's not me. It's a story. I can read the story, but it's not me. Like, I would never say I'm this book. And this is where in Buddhism, in my spiritual practice, where they talk about observation, like anything that can be observed, you know, you are not. Like there's some sort of like the observer and the thing. Like I can observe this book, I can describe it. It has red here, it has clouds. I can read it. I can observe the book. It has this many pages, right? I can observe the book. You can observe your thoughts and your body sensations too. And just like I wouldn't say, I'm this book. Like, I would never confuse myself for this book. It's the same. We confuse ourselves with our thoughts and our body sensations. We confuse ourselves with this storyline that you created. Just like this person wrote this book, your brain wrote out this storyline. It is yours. Because if the same thing happened, like my storyline is different than yours. Because I have a past history that my brain drew from. You have a different past history that your brain drew from. It's a different storyline. It might be the same reality. We both had unprotected sex. We both contracted herpes. The storyline's different because the storyline comes from us. Just like somebody wrote this book, our brains, wrote the storyline for us to keep us alive, to keep us surviving. And so go through your life. That's the request, is start looking at things from reality, from really like a deep, close reality. Like be an investigator. Be curious about your life. The places in your life where you're not feeling empowered, where you're not feeling how you want to feel, be an investigator. Go look. See what the reality is. See what the storyline you're playing, what your brain is doing, what things your brain has pulled out around your storyline. And you can even like really, like the thing in my book that I really love, so book practice, is I have people actually write out the entire story of them contracting herpes. Like they write it out like a story. Like he said this, she said this, I went on this date and then things got steamy and right, like they write it like the story and they can see the reality parts. And then they talk about going to the doctor to get tested for herpes or when their first sore came up or whatever happened, right? They write the story and they can see the reality and then all the stuff, all the storyline that they put around it. Like really, like you can begin to see it. And I want you to just look in your life, like look today, like I'm sitting in a chair right now. That's my reality. I'm making this video. That's my reality. And there's a bunch of storyline happening. Like, am I doing it right? Is this going to be good enough for people? Are people going to get what I want them to get? And that's all storyline. The reality is I'm sitting in a chair and I'm making this video and I'm saying words to you. And so I want you to go through life and just notice how much storyline arises. It's the brain's job. It will arise. You will have tons of thoughts arising. You're having tons of thoughts arising as you listen to me. Like, I don't believe her. And I don't want you to believe me. I want you to try it. I want you to do the work. That's how you're going to get the results you want. Go and do the work. And know that you're not alone. And know that you don't have to suffer anymore. Like, really. And this 5-part video series is going to help you through that. It's going to really help you through that. And video 2 is all about the way we view things. So we have the brain's automatic response, but we actually do have creative power in our lives. So the brain's job is to automatically pull things out to make sense out of what's happening. But we also have the ability to choose to believe it or not, or to create something more powerful for ourselves. The body will always do its mechanism. Those thoughts will always arise. They will always arise. That's why meditation is a practice. It's the same thing here. You notice the storyline that the brain wants to pull out. You just notice them and you label it that, like it's a story. It's a thought. It's a sensation, right? And then we have creative freedom to really begin to rewrite stories so that we can feel empowered in life in places we don't. So that we can feel empowered in life in places we don't. And that's video 2. Video 3 is getting really clear on what you want. Because part of herpes, what I have found is like people like stop dreaming. Like people stop getting connected to what they truly want. It's almost like it like puts a halt on their life. And that's what I was saying before. It's the blockade between what is you contracted herpes and what you really want. And you've got to be clear on what you want. You got to be clear on what you want. And you also got to be like ready to claim it, right? So we're going to get clear on all that. And then we're going to talk about how to like do it. How to really do it. How to take what you want and make it real. And then the last video 5 is going to be all the juiciness of like when things get hard while you're trying to create what you want in your life. And when things get hard or challenged or when you have breakdowns or when you fail, what to do then. Herpes is your access to life. And if you're wanting to date, like really, if you're wanting to date, if that's what you want and there's blockades, we're going to talk about how to date. We're going to talk about how to have the conversation. Like the conversation. We're going to talk about how to get what you want. If you want partnership, great. If you want to like be able to look at your vagina or your penis and see beauty again, great. If you want just to have a thriving life, great. If you want to have confidence, great. We're going to deal with all of that. And then we're going to deal with what to do when things come up. When those thoughts arise, when those body sensations arise, when you try something and you fail, when you ask someone on a date and they say no, when you tell someone you have herpes and they say they don't want to take that on, what to actually do. And it's going to be juicy. And I hope you join me for the whole 5-part series. But for now, if you have any questions or concerns or you need clarity, email me. KimberlyEliseJohnson@gmail.com. It's now on the bottom of the screen. You can also go to KimberlyCoaching.com and you can write me on my comments page. And if you want to just share, please do. Because this is where you'll get your life. And I'm here for you. You are not alone. Until video 2.